You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Houdini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
And that you are. You're listening, but you're watching tonight. It's this is a YouTube Twitch broadcast that will be rebroadcasted on the New Visions Radio Network in the next week, I believe. Once I get him the archive for this show. But thank you for all popping in to send off our season 16, the 16th season, and look who with Reeves Cooke. Hey Reeves, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. You know, it's funny you kicked the season off with us, and now we're kicking it to the dust with you.
Has it really been that long?
It's been that long. It's been that
Wow.
long. It
God.
doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like
doesn't. No,
it's great.
It only seems like yesterday.
Only yesterday. Yeah, it's funny. I did a live stream a couple nights ago, and I started talking about the ParaTalk podcast and how you've really brought it to a whole new level, and brought it to a whole new sort of new listenership and new viewership or whatever. Back from obviously when you and Gareth used to do it, but you've really made it your own, and with obviously the essence of Gareth there. But what's been going on? Like, I mean, it's been a whole season since you've been back.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
It's nice to be back. And also, anyone in the chat got any questions, send them over, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Kind of. A few people have said that to me. You've made ParaTalk your own now, and in a way, it's like Gareth's still there on my shoulder, saying, "No, that's crap," or "That's not gonna work." It's really weird. I don't know. It's just me in my head. But yeah, I always sort of come up with ideas, and I've been doing a lot of what you call brainstorming this year, and it's been. Well, I'm in. Oh, wow! I'm in what, 2 years, 3 years now?
Yeah.
This? It's bonkers, isn't it? How quickly time goes by. But I kind of did some brainstorming, and I've kind of mixed it up a little bit, and sort of had different, different ideas, different guests, talk about different things, and I've kind of mixed it up a little bit, and I've kind of found a nice group of people who are. Active in the paranormal field and know their stuff and are willing to come back on regular episodes and just, catch up with them, talk about stuff, which is great. And also I got to give a shout out to Shrouded Hand Tom, because he's really kind of helped me out a lot along the way, because he's been there and he was kind of with me and Gareth. He was doing live streams. So it's great when he comes on, because he brings a completely different dynamic to 2 shows and 2 episodes, because he's kind of like your horror man. He's kind of like, he brings a bit of gore. So, it's that's kind of nice with that kind of side of it. So it's kind of made me sort of think I need to sort of, stretch my wings a little bit and maybe do something a little bit more added on, not just, I'm not going to walk away from the paranormal. Of course, that's my bread and butter. But no, it's kind of like, it's nice to do other things and add those to the mix, so that people can have a choice of what they want to listen to. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's the paranormal, right? I mean, the paranormal is just not one stagnant area. It just encompasses so much. The unknown world. There's so much strangeness, or high strangeness, as many will put it. There's so much unusual things that are happening, and obviously not all of it is unexplainable, but still strange.
Well, the thing is, like, I was having a conversation the other day. Not only the other day was I talking to somebody about the paranormal and how can I put it? How unparanormal some things can be, where we make it paranormal. We kind of interpret it in a way where, it's obviously grandma, when it's not. It's just, it's just a little cat who's gone for a walk and knocked a
Mm.
plate over or something, and we make this story up about it. So yeah, I think that you've got to be a little bit level-headed when you come into this, but it's always I want to make it fun. I want people on who want to have fun, but I don't want to be on there like just taking the mick or having drama. I don't want that. I don't want the
Yeah.
negativity, because once you get into those sort of, all right, as you well know, this is YouTube, and YouTube loves negativity and
Oh
loves
yeah.
drama.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I just want to, I want to have a group of people tell a good story and people enjoy it. That's all I want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I know wholeheartedly how it is. It's really sad that to really find it's like a needle in a haystack, looking for something that's really authentic, really new and sort of refreshing. And through all that sort of entertainment bit, or the the drama, as you put it, and everything else that's there, the negativity. I mean, it's really really tough. And like I said, you mentioned Tom and Shrouded, like right there. I mean, there's somebody that if you haven't followed his stuff, I mean, it is
Yeah.
it's so cool, so enthralling. He grabs these scenarios and stories, and you're like, what? How does he
Well,
find this stuff?
I got to say, right. I don't want to go off topic too much, because
Yeah.
but it's a free rolling. We're here. It's kind of see where it goes. But I kind of like since I've been watching Tom's stuff, going back years. This is because it has been years now. Um, that got me into the whole how can I put the whole iceberg stuff, going
Yeah.
and looking at, and there's a whole different YouTube out there if you look for it. There's
Mhm.
a whole different YouTube of stuff, and
Mhm.
going into the kind of like the forbidden spaces, and where people talk about haunted forests and they go and investigate, or they talk about liminal spaces, or stuff like, or the backroom stuff, things like that. And it's kind of like it kind of got me in there, and got me sort of looking at that sort of stuff. And there's a whole different genre of that kind of stuff out there, and it's fascinating what they what they can come up with. And a lot of it's just fiction and made up, but it's great. It really is great what is out there if you look. Now, not just the level, just look below, and there's some really good creators out there that make
Mhm.
some really good quality stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And it's when you find these people, it's like, again, it's really refreshing to sort of, hey, I would really like to have you on the show, or I'd really like to,
Well, that's the hard bit.
yeah,
That's the hard
really,
bit.
it is. And there's been some really really cool creators here on YouTube that I've tried to. It's a lot more. It's a tougher nut to crack with some of these YouTube creators than it is to say, hey, look it, I'm going to send off an old fashioned email to somebody who's written a book, and all, hey, I got an answer. I got a reply. This is cool. Hey, let's set this thing up. It's tougher.
Mm,
It really is. If they're just doing the YouTube thing, trying to contact them. So, okay, well, they don't have an email. I don't get it.
yeah.
How am I supposed to contact them? So I don't know. It's
Well,
tough.
I was going to interject there and say that I've got I wasn't going to say I've got a list as long as my arm, but I would say that I have got a number of people who are going to be, if I can work it out and if it can happen,
Mhm.
they're going to be amazing guests. They're going to be they're going to have some stories to tell. I'm not going to start dropping names because I'm a pro. I don't do that. But I just I just don't want to start saying, oh, I'm going to have this person on, I'm going to have that person on. But I've got some people in the pipeline that have been out there, and they've written a book, they made a video or whatever, but they know what they're talking about. And I'm really excited if it comes off. But like you just said, it's all about fitting in with schedules, and it's all about when you got a job, this isn't my full-time gig. I wish it was, but
Yeah.
I gotta go to work. I got to go out there like everyone else, and do the 9 to 5, and hate everyone, but that's just the way it is. But it's just kind of like when you get into this and you start doing it and you start meeting people who are like-minded, and they're on your same level, you think, wow, I'm so envious of people that do this full time, that have got like 1,000 people on their Patreon, and they're getting 5K a month, and they can do this, they can go off on investigations, and they can do this and they can do that. It's difficult, but
It is, yeah.
you've got to start somewhere.
I want to go back, kind of rewind it a little bit to when you were saying, how, we were talking about how you've made the ParaTalk podcast your own,
Mhm.
and but Gareth's over my shoulder, and
Oh, he is. Trust me.
I want to get into that a little bit, and topics. Is there certain topics that you've covered, and you said, I know damn well what Gareth would think or say or questioning, and is there certain topics or guests or things that elements that sort of go, oh, okay, Gareth's here.
Well, yeah. You lead me into a nice part that I wanted to mention,
Okay.
and that is regarding. I had a message earlier on Instagram from a listener who was asking, are you going to be uploading any of the classic episodes?
Mhm.
And it's something I've thought about doing, and I have a few. I don't have many. I have a few. But unfortunately, after Gareth passed away, a lot of that archive, because he was like the key master, he looked after all of that.
Yep.
I didn't really need to have access to it. There was no
Mhm.
need. We didn't know we didn't know what happened was going to happen.
No, nobody
Why would
does.
you?
Yeah.
So I kind of like, after all that, everything and the dust settled, I was like, how do I get all these old episodes? Well, I'm not just going to go out and go, oh, I want all the old episodes. Where are they?
Mhm.
So I thought, well, maybe I started. Ben Emlyn Jones. I think
Yep.
he's in the chat.
He's in the
Mr.
chat.
UFO.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
don't know.
UFO,
He's
yeah.
still over in. He was doing contact in the desert.
That's right. Yeah, he was over in.
I need to.
What was
Now I
that?
need to
Late.
get him on an episode
Oh my
and
God.
pick his brains about that. Because
Well, I said in chat there, I said, Ben, we have to have you and Reeves on one show together.
well, that'd be fun. Yeah. Why not? Why not?
would.
Why not?
Would be.
So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, because there you go, I go on a tangent again.
Hey.
So basically, what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about Gareth. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
the archives.
so I thought, I needed to get some of the old episodes. So I'm kind of, in a way, I'm kind of doing a call out anyway. If there's any hardcore long-term listeners out there that have any old episodes, and there is a reason for me asking, can you get in contact with me at paratalkpodcast@gmail.com? I saw ParaTalk Podcast is all one word at gmail.com. And just shoot me an email and say, yeah, I've got some. What can I help? Because what I want to do is I want to get all these episodes, and I want to remaster them and re-edit them and re-upload them so that people can listen to a cleaner, more up-to-date, cleaned up version, and then maybe sort of farm them out on the main podcast feed, so that once a month you get a classic episode. And so that you can hear all the old episodes. But I will say that the episodes I've got, I haven't listened to them for a long time. And there's a reason for that. I started this project of cleaning them up on the ones that I had. Because, I do use a lot of AI now. I find it very useful. I know eventually it's going to kill us all and take over the planet. But whilst it hasn't done that, it's really, really saved me a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, cleaning stuff up.
So let me just.
Sorry, yeah.
How do you mean you're using AI to?
Well, I hate editing. I absolutely hate editing.
Yeah.
And basically, if I can say, hey, Mr. AI, clean this up for me, and then I'll check it later and just upload it to somewhere, let Adobe AI do it or something, and then clean it up and then send it back to me. And then it comes up nice and done. All the levels are done. It doesn't sound like the guest is in a toilet. It sounds like they're in a studio, and it sounds great. But for me to do that, it's a lot of pains. It's a pain in the ass.
It's a lot of work.
And with all the editing as well. I mean, for example, I edited an episode the other day, and the episode was in an hour and 40 minutes. I needed to edit it down to an hour, but that took me like a whole afternoon. Because I'm never happy with what I'm doing. I'm thinking that doesn't sound right. I've got to do that again. I've got to change that. I've got to tweak that. And you edit episodes. It can be a right pain in the rear.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's great. AI is great for that. It is great. I mean, but if you're going to go out and pretend you're someone else and try and trick people and take money off them, no, that's not great.
No.
That's kind of horrible, but
Yeah.
that's not me. So yeah. But anyway, as I was saying, I've had people asking me this stuff, and so I went back and went to these episodes and thought, yeah. So why don't I do a few as an experiment and see what it comes out like, and then, put them out there and see what kind of people go. Yeah, this is brilliant. Give me more. Now, it's really difficult when you start an episode and you hear someone that you haven't talked to for like 2 years, and you're
Mm,
thinking, "Wow, can I listen to this?"
mm,
And you get
yeah.
that really kind of like, do I want to go? Not in a horrible way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being like, oh, I don't want to
No,
do.
no,
No,
no.
it's not that. It's just like
Oh.
you're going back and you're reliving all those moments in your head,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it's really weird. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know, but for me, it
Aren't
was
we all weird though?
well, in a way, yeah. I suppose that's why we're all
Yeah,
unique, isn't it? But
exactly.
no, I think that I something I need to do. I think it's I have to do it, and I imagine Gareth going, "Yeah, do it. Don't be such a whatever. Get on with it.
Mm,
Just make it
yeah,
happen."
yeah,
Because he was that kind of guy. He's just like, get
yep,
on with it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Just bin it and start again. So
yep.
yeah, I kind of want to do that. So anyone out there that is listening that wants to help out and knows where episodes are, there's lots of links out there, but all those links are dead. You know, so it's very difficult. They're all sort of they're no longer in use. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I would like to do that as a project, and maybe over the summer. And I'm I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going to edit them and put them somewhere that you have to pay me lots of money to get them. It's not going to be that.
Yeah.
I think what I will do is I'm also considering. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, can I donate?" And I'm saying to people at the moment, I don't want you to donate any money because I don't feel that I'm doing enough on the podcast for you to give me money.
Mm,
I get that kind of weird feeling, and also I've got uh, what's the word? A buy me a coffee, and I've had people donate, and it's really nice, and I put that money back into like using software and stuff like that. So it's very useful. But I always also feel that I need to if you're going to expect people to pay money, you need to have something in return. So I'm thinking maybe put it on a Patreon and say, well, these are all on here. You can join and you can basically there's no adverts, there's nothing on there because I want to start putting. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I need to start putting ads on the podcast, the free podcast, because I need to generate some income because I want
yeah.
to do different projects with ParaTalk. I want to go out there and do stuff, and there's only so much money I can take out of my pocket. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? As you
Oh yeah,
know,
I know what you mean. It's expensive. It is really expensive. Running, like, I know for us, it's extremely expensive.
yeah.
Running through things with the radio network and again with StreamYard and with YouTube and everything else. Frank is in chat. Frank Triggs. He's got about 13 of the older Paratalk episodes.
Well, Frank, email me on paratalkpodcast@gmail.com, and hopefully I can get access and download them, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, and if anybody else out there, yeah, definitely get a hold of Reeves and get him those episodes because that would be really cool. The
Well,
Enfield Poltergeist Part One.
oh,
Yes.
I mean, it's loads. I mean, it goes back years. I mean, one thing, right, is that Gareth always had like, yeah, he kind of only ever had two microphones. He had a Shure mic.
Yeah.
We had two Shure mics.
Hmm.
I had loads of mics. I was always breaking microphones, and I always had different microphones. And he said that all through the years of us doing it, because I mean, we did it for what 10, 12 years, something. And he said all through, if you listen to all the random episodes, at some point, maybe a year or 10, you sound like a completely different person.
Mm.
And then 2
Yeah.
years later, you sound like a completely different person again. And it's kind
Hmm.
of bizarre how microphones can make you sound, because you're obviously audio only, you're not seeing anything. But yeah, it's bizarre, just very bizarre.
Well, yeah, you go back and you listen to. I know when
Yeah.
I go back and listen to some of the old archives, and I sort of remaster them as best as possible, and I sit there and listen, and you're like, oh wow, man,
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to
Why
put
do I
this
see,
up.
yeah, why do I sound so weird?
Yeah, I don't know.
I sound like a little boy.
This could be trouble. This could be trouble.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But no, I've been doing that, and
Yeah.
also I've been doing see, the thing is, I did some I did some live streams a while back. Quite a while back. year
Yeah.
ago. It mainly came out of not boredom, but just wanted to do something a bit different. And they were quite popular, and people enjoyed them. And people have been asking me now, hey, uh, are you going to do any more live streams? And I'm like, yes, I am, but I need to do it where people in a group, like a round table. I want people to be all together, so we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I'm working on with the Parrot Talk and the expanding, of my empire.
I absolutely love doing roundtables, Reeves. That's been always my favorite aspect of doing this show, is having roundtables, as we used to always call the dark discussions. But uh, the thing that always seemed to hamper a lot of them was the scheduling. The scheduling with a
Yeah.
lot of especially if you're in a different
Yep.
time zone or whatever else. But when it gelled, when it went off, it just wow. Some of the greatest perspectives and info and ideas and thoughts just flowed, and they were so great. And yet, I I never wanted to have it formulated. I never wanted it scripted. I wanted it to be just natural. I find when you go natural and let it flow, you get into areas that you're like, oh wow, this is so cool. How did we not ever
Mm.
touch base on something like this? I mean, you know, doing the ParaTalk podcast, have you? Is there a subject or something that you've been wanting to cover that you haven't covered, or you just
Yes.
don't know where to start?
No. Yes and no. And um, I love the missing 411
Oh
sort of
yes,
files.
absolutely. Yeah.
I've had on a number of times Ben of YouTube's 401 files, and if
Okay.
anybody loves that kind of out in the woods spooky stuff, go and look up Ben the 401 files on YouTube, and he's basically video. It's all like little mini paranormal documentaries. And I got speaking to him about stuff, and I kind of looked into it and thought, and of course, the 411 films and stuff.
Mm.
I kind of watch those, and I obviously read some stories, and it starts to fascinate me. And Gareth and I covered those topics as well,
Mm.
and I kind of started watching it a bit more, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I started to get absolutely fascinated by the Appalachian Trail in
Oh yeah.
Appalachia.
Yep.
I mean, what it was it 500,000 kilometers or something? It's like, was it 13 states or something? It's just crazy.
It's incredibly crazy. Like I've been to a few parts of it, and it's just absolutely insane. Like it makes its way all the way up. I
Up to
think
Canada from
it goes through the Catskills and lower New York State into the Adirondacks, which is the northern part of New York State and Vermont. And some like it literally Lake Champlain, like literally cuts through that sort of range and splits them. But when you get into the heart of the Appalachians, oh my God, it's just absolute. You're in a whole different world. It's like you're in a different planet.
So
Some of the places,
I've got a question.
yeah.
What is that? You some people some people say Appalachian and some people say Appalachian. What some people get angry about that. What do you say? Which one is it?
That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, I've always known it as the Appalachian, but yeah, people say it the other way, and they get. I think it's more. It depends on if you're from that area
Where
or
you
you're
live,
from
yeah.
a
Mm.
state or whatever. It's slang, the way they say it. It's like you know how certain words people will say differently, and it's I don't know. Am I saying it right? I don't know. I think I'm saying it right. I mean, I've always known it. I've heard other people
I don't know. I always
say
mess
that.
stuff up. I can't even get people's names right. So
Yeah.
don't rely on me. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I started getting into that, and I
Yeah.
found a channel on YouTube with a guy who basically goes and explores places, and he goes to the community, and he interviews the community and the people, and what they get up to, and he just sort of day in the life sort of thing.
Mhm.
And he's done a series of videos about Appalachian, whatever. Yeah.
Appellation.
He's done a series of videos on it, and
Yeah.
he's gone to the towns that are in the area, and he, talks to the people, asks them, what they do and stuff. And some of these people don't just live in the towns; they live deep in the woods,
Oh yeah.
deep like deep in the woods. Um, they go, let's go to a bar. All right,
Mhm.
they take this guy to a bar. The bar is 8 miles inside the woods. It's in the middle of nowhere,
In the
and you
middle of
can only
nowhere.
get there by like a 4x4, a little
Mhm.
4x4
A
buggy.
little bit of
It's
off-roading.
amazing. It's amazing. It's just like a roadhouse in the middle of the woods.
Well,
They
that's
have
what
rock and roll music. They got, it's
they they
amazing.
they bring their different regional moonshine.
Yeah.
But
There's no police there. It's just they
no,
police themselves.
well,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, you're an outsider. Look out! You better behave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, have you even like I mean, talking about the Appalachians
Well,
or whatever,
well,
however we want
anyway.
to call it. But there's an
Yeah.
interesting in Kentucky, the lower part of it, um, the Blue people of Kentucky
Yeah.
are people, a race of inbreds that came from France
Yeah.
that live in pretty much in the
I watched a
Appalachian.
story about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
that
I watched a
crazy?
story about that. That's bonkers. And also you know what? I believe I am quite open minded when it comes to. I mean, the amount of ground and woodland, whatever you want to call it, forest, whatever
Mhm.
that's there is just inconceivable when you think about it. And I can quite easily believe that there's stuff in there that you don't even know nothing about. It may be communities of people living in those places that you don't want to meet on a dark night on a trail on your own if you haven't got a shotgun on you. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll
Well,
end up in a pot.
yeah, I mean, there's lots of places like I mean, you look at Connecticut, Massachusetts. There's a place called the Bridgewater Triangle,
Yeah,
and again, it's
people just
literally
vanish. They just disappear.
it just disappeared. But it was literally in for many years the dumping ground for a lot of the mafia crime families.
Bodies,
You
yeah,
know,
getting rid of
and then
bodies.
not to mention puckwudgies. You know, but Bigfoot, UFOs, you name it. I mean, this triangle has had it all, or at least witnessed it all. So I mean, and we're talking about again, when you go back and you look at the history of these places, and you start diving into the Native American sort of lores,
Yeah.
and okay, so they will even tell you, oh yeah, this certain thing went on for years. There was a strange creature or happenings. People were disappearing, and we had to watch when we were sort of going from one region to the next region if they're because they were nomadic and they were following the herds and the seasons and stuff like that. They would probably avoid certain areas because they knew if they went in that area, it was like bad juju. No, I'm not
Yeah.
going in there. We're not going in there. No way. Too much trouble.
I tell you a little story. Okay,
Yep.
story time with Reeves.
Yeah.
So there's this guy, right? And this is a story, an account that I mean I just go on Reddit and I spend hours reading stuff in paranormal and stuff and like
Mhm.
paranormal. Anyway, there's this guy and he goes for a trek. This is
Yep.
in the Appalachians. This is in that area.
Mhm.
I don't exactly know where, but in that area. And he decides to go for a trek on his own. So he's obviously a bit seasoned. Okay, he knows what he's doing, and he takes the basics. He doesn't take everything. He just takes what he needs, right, for an overnight. He's only going for a little while, and he goes out into the wilderness, shall we say?
Mhm.
And it's lovely, and it's all the green fields and forests and little deers running around and stuff. And he's kind of decompressing. He's clearing his mind, and he finds an area. that he wants to stay in, and he decides to make camp in this area. It's like a slightly open area, but you got to remember, by this time he's sort of 12, 13, 14 miles into the wilderness, so he's not
Yeah.
really near any what you'd call civilization. Like, he's not near a road or whatever. He drove his car and he parked his car, but he walked, So he's in there, and he's got a little tent, puts his tent up, makes his his stew or whatever, and he has his food, and then he decides, as it's gone quite dark, he's going to bed down for the night because he's quite tired, done a lot of walking. He beds down, and early in the morning, he's awoken. It's dead quiet. Right, it's dead quiet. The odd squirrel looking for nuts or whatever, but it's dead quiet, so he can hear. I know, as you well know, when you're in a very quiet place, your hearing is like super, super, super. You're listening for everything, And this guy, he's not like me, who would be gone with the first sound. He knows the sounds of the forest. He knows
Yep.
what's a deer sounds like or whatever.
Yeah.
He's led in his tent, and he can hear someone walking around outside, like around the tent area, but not coming up to him, but around the tent area. And he thinks, okay, all right, maybe it's other hikers passing by. I'm not going to go outside. And he beds back down and goes to sleep. And a little while longer, he's woken up again by something else walking around. You can tell that it's like maybe a person, right? And he went outside of the tent. He decides to go outside. He's got to find out. And he can see something, but he can only see a silhouette of a person in the forest because he's in an open area. And obviously only lit by the moonlight. And he said it scared him so much that he packed up right then, got his bag and everything. He left his tent and everything there. And he made his way back in the dark, which you shouldn't really do because that's kind of like, that's quite dangerous in itself.
Suicide.
Cliff or whatever. Anyway, he knew he was going. He made his way back to his car, slept in his car. Then the following day, he walked back in, got all his stuff. But the thing was, when he went back to get his stuff, it had all been completely obliterated, smashed up and everything. So that tells me that someone or something was out there, either stalking him or watching him or waiting. And obviously when he got up and it's like, well, we can't jump him now or whatever, or has he got a gun on him or whatever? He might, I don't know if he had a sidearm or whatever, but the fact was that, imagine that you're on your own and you got to sort that out. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I'm going into a place like that, I'm packing heat, man. I'm going with a pistol.
Or
something that I can protect myself. Because it's, as I say, it's such a vast place. And when you go into those places, you are literally going into a completely different environment. And I do believe that there are there is communities of people live out there. There's what's the cult that lives out there? There's a cult that lives out there, and they got a name. What are they called?
Where?
Out in the
Appalachians? Oh, there's probably a few of them.
Basically, when one of the theories is a lot of these hikers and walkers that go missing are basically brought into the cult and basically brainwashed to stay there.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Be part of the cult. So yeah, I got no proof of that. It's only what I've listened to and read, but it's still fascinating. I just find it really, it's just really kind of like unsettling.
It's not the Raelians, is it, or the Raelians, or whatever? What's that called?
I don't know, but it is a cult. There's some YouTubers that infiltrated it, and they went in there and did secret filming. And there's some creepy people. I think a lot of the people there that are part of it just don't want to be part of society anymore. They've had enough, and they just want to go away and like grow veg and stuff. But there are some people there that they were interviewing and talking to, and they're thinking to themselves, that person maybe could quite easily murder me. It just come across as a bit.
Well, you think about it. I mean, you have enough of it in the big cities where people are, camping wherever they can. Homelessness in the big cities, they want to live off the grid. So just imagine what it would be like in some places along these trails or in these forests, deep society, a society of people who just gathered together and decided, okay, look it, let's just leave it all. Let's create our own sort of community, if you will. I mean, they were doing it back in the 60s and 70s, right? I mean, what's to say they're not doing it still, or they haven't, they're still there. You know, they've been there for years, and you know, maybe the locals know about them, but they don't go anywhere near them. Holiness churches, the serpent cult. Oh, Dom's saying something in chat. Yeah, so I mean, who's not to say that? Yeah, there's so many splinter um, entities, elements out there that people just, you know, if you're not local, you're not going to know. You're going to go into these woods and camp or hike or whatever else, and then run into this sort of element, and then you know who the hell knows what happens to you.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
you
yeah, it just creeps me out. I
oh,
mean,
absolutely.
it's ideal. I mean, that's the kind of scenario. So something else that I have got quite into is analog horror, and that would be, you know, that would be the ideal scenario to be in somewhere like that. I just I don't know. I just find it really unsettling. Energy bill. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about my poor bank
Uh,
account.
the 12 tribes is another cult.
12
The
tribes.
12
That was it. The
is
12
that the one
tribes.
you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that rings a bell. It could be
Okay.
that one actually. But no, it was just seeing the video and listening to some of the people. I can understand. There's some of the people quite genuine, and they're like just had enough.
But I
They
mean,
sold everything and they just moved away. But some of the people are like, just the way they look. It's like he's going to eat me in a minute. He's going to put me in a pot and stew me up and eat me.
think about it though, Reeves. Think about it. What is terrifying here is human.
Yeah.
It's human. It's not these scary monsters, these demons, or these god awful, you know, creatures that you know you hear about all the time. It's humans. It's humans that are the basis of this
Oh yeah.
frightening out possible outcome.
I had I kind of have had this conversation before, but it's kind of like when you think about it, right? If you go into like a let's say you're doing an investigation, right? You go into the woods because there's apparently a Sasquatch that lives there or something in a tree, right?
Yep.
And you're going to do a stakeout to see if he's coming home, and you're going to catch him, video him coming home, going into his tree, right? And you're
Yep.
hiding. Now, the chances are that if he's coming to his tree and he sees you, that he's gonna leg it. Or if a bear is having a walk and he sees you, he'll smell you before he sees you. That they're gonna leg it. They're not gonna bother you. They're just gonna stay out of your way. In some cases, I will say that there are animals that will attack, but there's usually a reason for that. But people are so opportunistic, and some people are just so mental that they'll just basically, oh, I'm gonna, you know, what can I get from this person? Nobody's gonna know if I kill them because we're in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
and that's the way their minds work. And yeah, we can be quite horrible to one another, which is you'd think we'd be a bit more by now. We'd be a bit more enlightened and a bit more. Don't want to use the word spiritual, but a bit more sort of nicer to one another. It seems that we're kind of we're going backwards at the moment. We're not sort of evolving. We've kind of stopped. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the downside of social media. Maybe AI's here to it's become our
Clean
savior and
clean
enslave us.
things up. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, I mean, I'm not going to get. This isn't like computer hour with Reeves, but I don't know. I've read a lot about AI. I think AI is great, but I also think that they're not. You need to put in fail safes, and a lot of these big corporations they're not doing that. They're not investing enough money in fail safes, and the chances are if you're going to make a supercomputer and it's going to go out online and stuff, that can quickly go south very quickly.
Yeah. Oh
And if
yeah.
you haven't got those fail safes in place, then you're literally you're going to be made extinct. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm a bit over dramatizing, but I don't know. I think that you should be a bit safer when it comes to stuff like that. But I think I was talking to a conversation the other day. I think it was with one of my guests that I was interviewing. We were talking about ghost hunting and AI, and
Mm.
could AI give us the answers to the paranormal that we're all chasing. I mean, if you think about it, right? How long have we been doing this? A long time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
been going on a long time. And lots of people have done a lot of amazing research, but we're not really. Let's be honest, we're not really any closer to an answer. Whether
No,
there's anything,
no.
beyond this mortal coil,
Mhm.
and we're not even any closer to knowing that, are there sort of aliens out there?
But I mean, in the same token, though, yeah, that's a possibility. But are we are we ready to accept what AI shows us in that aspect? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, that's
will
the
we
other thing.
believe it? Will we believe
Yeah.
it? Is it, I mean, come on. How come we've been doing this for so long and AI all of a sudden comes up and says, "Hey, look at this is what's going on." What?
Only
You know?
only because it can think a lot, it can process a lot more information much
Yeah,
more quickly than what we can. So it can give you an answer much more quickly. But
absolutely.
once again, if it becomes sentient, it's got and it maybe has got a motive, then it's going to tell you what you want to hear,
Want to hear. Yeah,
and it can control
exactly.
you. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think that I think we should go all of our UFO answers. We just ask Ben. Just ask Ben. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Ben, he's a wealth of knowledge. Ben, you're listening. You're a
He
wealth
knows
of knowledge.
everything. Ben knows
He knows
everything. He's
everything. He
literally a
does.
walking encyclopedia.
Oh my God. You ask Ben something and it's like, oh, yeah, what? Holy,
Yeah.
Ben, holy, where do you get this
How do you
from?
know that? Where's that in your head? I've got a
Uh,
mate like that actually. When it comes to music, you can
yeah,
ask him anything about 1980s music, and
yeah.
he'll say, "Who was number one in 1982?" Oh, that was so and so. How do
Yeah.
you know that? How do you know? I can't even remember that. I can't even remember 1981. I just remember that I was, out and about, being cool and hip down the arcades. Apparently,
Yeah.
in my mind. But yeah, in reality, I was being chased by skinheads. But there you go.
Skinheads. Oh, man.
But yeah. Anyway, so
Uh,
I just wanted to move on a little bit to
yeah,
other
yeah,
projects
absolutely. Yeah.
that
Let's do it.
I
Let's
was.
do it.
Let's just cat over the chat a minute. What's Steve saying?
Was a bit fun. Was a bit of fun. Some nights cooking wood on the fire, cooking a small stew on it. But I think he was
Oh,
or sort of adding to. He had spent all winter without gas. Just managed a fire to sleep in front of. Some nights was in bed with my winter coat on. Wasn't fun. Yeah, that's yeah, that sucks.
so I was going to say regarding missing people and missing time. I just wanted to add to that before I just run off on something else because I will.
Yeah,
Regarding that and the aliens, UFOs, UAPs, whatever the catchword is right now, which is just
exactly.
let's just change the name, just call it something else, and then people won't put two and two together.
No, exactly.
Are people really that stupid, or do people just not that care that much? I don't know,
Oh,
but
it's
I don't
so
know.
passe. We need to change it. We
Yeah,
need to freshen it up, and it has to sound a little bit more legitimate.
yeah.
Yeah.
UAP, UAP.
UAP,
It's that word,
UAP,
UAP, UAP.
UAP.
UFO, UAP. I keep saying it. It just does. It's got some sort of. I don't know. Just got. It sounds a bit weird. I imagine a T-shirt with UAP on it. It just sounds like you're part of a collection agency or something.
You
Like,
ain't P. You ain't P.
yeah, it's like you're delivering something. Your
Yeah.
parcel's here. You
Yeah,
call
exactly.
UAP.
Oh, your
You know,
UFO's here, by the way. UAP.
UFO's more legit. When you say
Yeah.
UFO, I think of Jacques Vallée. I think of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think of all those. All those that
You
era.
think of the traditional sense of
Yeah.
of the field, and yeah, I think there was a lot of. I don't want to say well, I don't want to say romance, but intrigue. I mean, when you're thinking about the whole UFO scenario of some of these people
Oh yeah, it's
and
like a
the
UFO
thought,
nostalgia.
yeah, it's like wow, so much about the paranormal and ufology and so on and so on. Now it's just I don't know, it just seems so passe and blah and everything. It's like anybody can come out of the woodwork to say anything, and then all of a sudden it's legit.
Well,
You know?
I will say that I was really into when they were having the debates, the Congress thing, and they were bringing in different people and they were
Yeah.
chatting and doing the interviews and that, I thought this is looking good. The you know the ones in power are taking note, and they're going to do something, and then nothing happened, and it's like the man from behind the throne came out and said, no, 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 shut this down. We don't want them knowing, so stop it. And it's kind of ground to a halt. There's still stuff going on, but I just feel that it's just going to keep growing in circles all the time. I know with the paranormal. Yeah, I don't know if you really get that with the paranormal, with the ghost stuff. It's not like a ghost lobby out there going, "We need to,
No,
show me your grandma." It's not that out there.
th- there, there,
I don't know.
there, there was an agenda out there. I remember. I don't know who brought it to light. Now I can't remember who it was. Questioned the fact that behind the scenes, the government, or I'll just say the powers
The
that
shadow,
be,
shadow
the
government,
shadow government,
the
whatever,
unseen hand.
they have put filters in with the paranormal that when you go and you investigate, you experience what they would consider, you know, you know, ghosts, and there's no such thing as ghosts. But we put those filters in place to keep you occupied, to keep you questioning, to keep you literally drive you insane in trying to figure out what's going on, but you're never going to, because we won't ever let you get to that point. And I'm like, yeah, it's called afterlife, is it? I don't know. Um, and that's a huge question, right, Reeves? I mean, are we ever going to know? I think the only time,
You will when you die,
well, that's the thing,
and if there's
and
nothing, then it's like that's it. You're nothing. It's
and
just you're just the big sleep, the
yeah,
big dip.
and that's the thing. Traditionally, we think of death as that's it. Um, and maybe there's an afterlife, but I mean, when you think outside the box, and some of the theories and some of the stuff that's come out and said, well, look at no. When you die, you literally just move to the next, the transition into the real life. Right now, you're in
Well,
a
yeah.
purgatory.
uh,
You're in a
yeah.
state of purgatory. There's
Some
all
people say
sorts
this
of
is hell.
theories, right?
Yeah.
We
Well,
are in hell.
some people say that this is hell. This
Yeah,
is this is what you have to go through to
yeah.
get to the little house on the hill, or
The
whatever.
great lightning.
Other people say that that your afterlife is the way that you interpret it. So if you are, shall we say, informed on what might come, then that's what you'll get. You'll get the house on the hill or whatever. And other people that think it's all a load of chuff are just going to be in turmoil for eternity until they can figure out that there's more to what they believe, really. There's lots of thoughts and theories. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a very religious person. I
Mm,
used to go to Sunday school, but
yeah,
I went to
me
Sunday
too.
school because they give me free sweets,
Yeah,
basically, and a panda pop. But no,
but
I used to go, and
yeah.
I learned all the Jesus story and all that. She would read stories to us and stuff, and we would act out, bits of the Bible. But yeah,
What
I
what what if kind of adding to what you said there, your afterlife consists of your very last thought.
actually, so I've been trying for a long time to get Anthony Peake on to an episode because he's done an awful lot of research on uh, afterlife and what possibly might be coming, or might be reoccurring, shall we say. And one of his theories is what he calls cheating the ferryman. Is basically at the point of death, your last few seconds of life, you slip out of this reality and
Mhm.
you basically relive everything. I mean, that's a very simplified version. There's a lot more to it than that, but you relive everything and it starts again. So basically the clock resets, but you're in a never-ending loop. You never die. You're just continually living over and over again. And I think, yeah, well, maybe that's possible. But there are other people out there that say, no, no, that's not what happens. What happens is when you die, you go and to heaven, and you get a life review, and you experience all the things that you've done, and to everyone, and then basically you you basically come back and live another life. And then I think to myself, I've got an issue with that. If, for example, if I went to heaven and whoever was saying to me, okay, so you can have a couple of weeks off and then you're going to go back again, I'll be like, whoa, hang on, no, I'm not going back. Sorry, I'm staying here. Where it's paradise, I'm staying here. I'm not going back there, because if I go back there, then I no longer exist in my present form. People say that you live multiple lives and you become multiple people. So if you come back and you reincarnate as whatever, a cat or whatever you come back as, um, you no longer exist. You're gone because you've become someone else. Your essence of you might still be within that whatever, but you as a person no longer exist. So you truly have died, and it's only when you go back to, you know, HQ heaven that you remember, oh yeah, I used to be that person. And maybe, I'm just speculating here because I'm going off on one, but maybe when you go to places that seem familiar and you go, oh, I feel like I've been here before, or this feels a bit familiar. Maybe you have been there before. Maybe you went there 100 years ago when you was a ye olde, I don't know, cheeky chap or whatever. Or maybe you were in the army, or maybe something. Maybe because you got an interest in tanks that you used to be in the army, or something like that. I mean, I'm pulling from a lot of different theories here, but I'm just using them as examples. But I don't know. I just find it a bit weird that if you're going to come back and you're going to be someone else, then you kind of no longer are you, are you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It just
It's a very
the
deep hole. It's a very, very deep
well,
hole.
that's the thing. It's a deep hole, and it seems to be, you think you're close to an answer, but you're not. You're. It's
No.
like it's infinite. It can go into any direction it wants to, and so many scenarios, and it would literally, as you put it, drive you bonkers.
Well, it would. I
It
mean,
would.
let's be honest, right? Anything in this world that is like, whether it's politics or paranormal or whatever, not that the two should ever, but it does. That kind of does overlap quite a lot, actually, in
Mm,
the paranormal. But anyway,
yeah,
if you do it enough and you read enough about it, it will make you a bit crazy, and you have to take a step back. I've done it
yeah,
sometimes. I'm like, no, I just need to stop looking at all this stuff, because it just makes you like a bit crazy, and it's just basically overload. It's just information overload. And I think that you get to a point where you just need to step back and maybe go for a walk and just watch some cartoons or something. Yeah, and just not have it around you, and then you can come back with a fresh mind and look at it anew. But yeah, I do think that when we look at the paranormal and look at all the kind of weird stuff that goes on, you can. Well, for example, ghosts, right?
yep,
So there are that some people say. I mean, I've had paranormal experiences. Um, am I going to say it was, somebody coming back to visit me, or was I being talked to by the dead? I don't know. I got no proof. I don't know. I know what I experienced, but I don't know. I have no clue. But it's scary, but it's exciting. But the fact is that some people will say, well, that was granddad. That was your granddad coming back because he wanted to say hello. And that's just the way it happens. And some people will go, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Oh, that was granddad. But me, I'm a little bit more, hang on a minute. How do you know that? How do you know it was granddad? Who told you that? You know? Well, I'm psychic. Well, okay, you're psychic. Well, I'm I've got this thing about people who say they're psychic. There's a lot of people out there who have got a lot of interesting abilities, right? But there's also a lot of people out there that talk a lot of old. There's just nothing going on. They're just saying it because they want to be part of the gang, and that's bad for the people that have got something going on.
yeah.
So you have to be a little bit skeptical there.
Oh, you're breaking up there a little.
But the point I'm getting to is if you yeah, I don't think the StreamYard is having doing one. If you basically say maybe ghosts aren't that, then what are they? Are they everything in the whole world that's ever happened still here? And are we just simply seeing a playback of
Ah,
those past
I-
events? And
you hear that
then
quite
in that
often.
case, would we ever get the technology to move between those events?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, not. I don't think anybody. That's the first time I've ever heard that, Reeves.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, would we? Would we be able to have a machine? Would AI be able to tell us how to build a machine so that we could go through to a different point in time to experience an event?
yeah. That's incredible, man. I never thought of it that way. That is so
It,
cool. I mean,
well, yeah. I
it.
mean,
Go ahead. Sorry.
so I'm just saying, it's just something that makes me think about that. It just, I think if we ever had the technology where we could, travel or access something, and then basically look at an event, that's not really happening but has happened, so it's in the kind of record of the world.
Well, is there? Well, could we sort of, what is it? What sentient archives? What am I thinking of? The
Yeah, yeah.
archives, sort of like that. What you kind of
Yeah,
what are they? Oh my god! Yeah,
I'm trying to think. It's the
uh,
records, yeah,
yeah,
the work records of everything.
yeah.
Oh
The
man, I'm
come on,
blanking
guys.
here. I'm
Hey,
blanking.
hey,
Uh,
Sixtus, how are you?
uh,
I'm blanking too. Oh,
the records of everything, basically. That's everything that's ever
yeah,
happened. Yeah,
yeah.
everything that's ever
Something
happened.
archives. The oh man. Oh,
No, I can't
oh,
think.
I can't think of it.
It'll come to me in a minute. I was getting
Yeah.
old. This is the problem. See, you get old, you hit middle age, and you start forgetting everything. I forgot why. Yesterday, I put my glasses down, and then I went to get them, and I didn't know where they were, and it took me 10 minutes to find them. So yeah, it happens. You've got.
Y-
That's why I got a notebook. You have to start writing stuff down.
I can relate to you, Reese. I can. I know how you feel, man. I really do.
And
Oh
things like
man.
that bug me. It just,
They drive me nuts. They drive me
yeah.
nuts.
I'm just gonna have to Google that now. I just
The
things like that.
Ascension records. Oh my god. The
I'm
arcade.
gonna
It's on the tip of my tongue. And
have,
nobody in chat. Come on, somebody in chat's got to know this.
Arcastic Records.
Arcastic. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, Acastic Records.
Acastic
Yeah.
Records. Yeah. So you can just
Theory
like
of everything. Everything has been remembered. Basically, everything is there. Yeah, that's it. Arcastic or Arcastic.
Akashic.
Something like that. I say I'm rubbish with words. I'm not very good at words.
And just literally take something, like literally just think of it, and it pops up, right?
Yeah.
Like just like you're searching the net and that comes up. Acastic Records. Yeah. Hi, Rihanna. Thank you. Thank you,
Well,
Rihanna.
the thing is, I was
Yes.
thinking that maybe that we're
Acastic Records. I cannot.
yeah. Maybe at some point we might be able to access different events in history, or through through some magic. I don't know what we might interpret as magic now. Maybe in 100 or 200 years, might not be magic. Just like a smartphone 30 years ago was magic.
Yeah.
Can you remember? Can you remember a time when we didn't have a smartphone?
Oh man, I felt so free.
We had no
free.
smartphones. The most advanced technology there was a digital watch.
A calculator.
Or a calculator watch.
A calculator. Oh yeah, exactly.
Or
Yeah,
a VCR.
a VCR. Yeah, I mean there are certain things that I like to go back and say, hey, I'll keep this. I'd rather have this than the new stuff. And for some reason, even though there's some beautiful prints out there, 4K and everything else, I love my VHS every once in a while.
Well, I've still got a VHS player, and I don't want to get rid of it.
No, I won't.
I still wear I mean, actually, right now I'm wearing a vintage Seiko digital from
Wow. Holy,
1977. That's 1977 just there.
wow.
You know,
That is
I
so
just
cool.
I'm just so stuck in the past, and yet I've got smartwatches and all that, but I still wear vintage stuff, old stuff. It's that when we talk about the paranormal, we're talking about a connection to the past that you want to bring forward. That's kind of like where we are with nostalgia. It's a connection to the past, and you want it to be. You want to go back there. You never will be able to go back there. Well, maybe if you had a time machine, you need to get
Time
yourself a
machine.
DeLorean.
Imagine that time machine.
You know what? If I had a time machine, I would go back to all the points in history that the great scholars or
Yeah.
those in power have written about. I'd go back to maybe you imagine going back to like the crucifixion, right? You got your time machine, you got your mate, you take a packed
And
lunch,
witness,
right?
witness something like that.
And you
Yeah.
go back, yeah, and you're on the hill, right? And then it happens completely different. And then you're like watching it going, it never happened like that. Well,
That's what it. Yeah.
that's not how it happened in the Bible. What's going on here?
Yeah.
You're thinking, I've
Exactly.
been lied to. They just made it up. This never happened like that. So yeah, I would like to do that just to see if they was lying or not.
The problem with stuff like that, obviously, is the records have been translated so many times, and when you think about not only the language that these were originally written in, but the slang too. I mean, the regional slang. There's so many different things that play a huge part in the wording. Say simple like what is it? The Dead Sea Scrolls sort of
Yeah.
go in and sort of paint the picture around the same time, but they paint it as just normality. People like Jesus was just a normal human being. He defied the traditional sort of religious sort of entity at the time. The whole parting of the water. He walked on water was. He simply just walked on a dock that was reserved for
Slightly
pre
submerged.
high priests of the time or whatever, and he defied them and walked on this, and it was like wait a sec, he was literally becoming more important than God or what
Yeah.
in some people's eyes. I don't know, whatever, but
Well,
slang.
the thing is I kind of in my weird mind, right? In my weird mind, I can imagine that if you go back all those years, and you've got a group of people around the table, and they're putting the Bible together, right? And they're thinking, let's write a book.
Yep.
This book is gonna be a powerful book. It's gonna be the best book ever, and everybody's gonna read it at the time, and they're gonna learn from it and learn by it and learn and live by it. And then they're thinking, right, so we got this Jesus, and he didn't hear, and the Romans didn't like him, so they crucified him because they wanted him out of the way. And they said, what happened next? And they're thinking, I'm thinking. So he died, and then we put him in a cave. They put him in a cave, and then he come back to life. And they're like, what? Yeah, he come back to life. Just make him, just put that in there. He come back to life. And then a little while longer, he disappears, and he went to heaven. And you're thinking to yourself, when you're reading that stuff, you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute. Is somebody making this up? Is somebody having a laugh? But you've got to think, you've got to read between the lines. Yeah. You've got to read with a lot of these kind of scriptures. That if you look at the Bible and how it's rewritten by the King James Bible, it's all kind of written in a way to make you think a certain way. All right. And to make you sort of, just control you a little bit. All right. I'm not getting all weird.
Marriage is one of them, right? I mean, that's marriage.
Yeah, but the thing is,
living in sin. And,
I think everyone.
Yeah.
I think everyone is born with right and wrong in them, right?
Mm.
I think you kind of know deep down what's
Well,
right and what's wrong,
knowledge, yeah.
and you can choose whether you want to be a nice person or an arse. And you
can't be in between. You got to be in between.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to kill her, officer. You know what I mean? I can't really be like that, can you? You either you did it or you didn't do it. But
Yeah.
what the point? I mean, I'm being a bit jovial about it.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the fact is that I don't think you need anything to tell how to live your life. Everybody kind of knows how to be nice to people. Just don't be a dick. As Gareth used to say, don't be a dick. Just be
Yeah.
just be yourself. But I think that we do we bring in a lot of that with the paranormal. We bring in that kind of lot of that belief structure where you have to believe a certain way to do a certain thing. And I don't think that holds you back. I think if you open yourself up a little bit and go, well, let's give it a try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You don't have to sacrifice pigs or whatever. You don't have to go anything crazy, but you do have to sort of be a little bit open to stuff and think, well, let's not be too restrictive,
Well,
because
yeah, yeah.
if you start to do that, you're kind of restricting yourself to what you can and can't do. I don't get me wrong. I don't mean think you say I don't think you should go crazy, but just use your head.
I think a lot of people don't want to do that. That's too much work these days. Using your brain, using your head, whatever. I mean, that's just too much work, unfortunately. Um, yeah, let's kind of go to an area that we both, I think, even though we've kind of been through it a million times, but I kind of enjoy chatting with you about this, and that's sort of like the ghosty thing, the really weird, unusual, paranormal sort of strangeness that we've all kind of sort of experienced throughout our lives in one way or another, and trying to make sense of it all. But the reason why, Reeves, why you are so, and I don't know, we talked about this a million times, but why you're so intrigued with the paranormal, and why you continue, like
Yeah.
I find myself getting very exhausted at times, but there's always that sort of aspect that keeps drawing me back in, and saying, okay, I want to find something different. I want to find a story that just sort of, it just like has not been explored before. And I mean, they're there. It's just they're really, really hard, getting harder to find. And I don't know about you, but are you finding it like really, really difficult to find a sort of an area of the paranormal that is just seems so fresh and new and exciting to
Well, it's
explore?
funny you say that because it leads me nicely onto something else that I've been looking at doing. Um, Obviously, you have a podcast, and I try to be as regular with my podcast as possible. I when I originally started out, I thought it would be absolutely no problem to do one episode a week. No
Mhm,
worries, no problem. But if you're not working and that's all you're doing, it's going to be easy. You could do the
mhm,
2 episodes a week. But
mhm,
the problem is, I found that because I was working and had a job and all that other stuff that goes with life, it was getting difficult. So what I did is I made a list of all the top things that interested me when it come to the paranormal, with ghosts and stuff and everything. And I thought, well, I'll go with that, and I'll cover all those topics and go with that. But as you just said, you get to a point where you think, well, I've done that. I've done phantoms, I've done apparitions, I've done haunted houses, and you start to look around and you think, well, what's new? How many books do I need to read to find something different?
yeah,
But what I have found is that I haven't tapped into the one resource that I think you get some of the best stories from, and that's people's personal experience.
yes, 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 yes.
So, and if you go online and look at a lot of forums and stuff like that, there's some stuff out there that people have experienced. Um, it's just completely balmy, and I think to myself, God, if that, I want that. I want to be able to narrate that story because it's just amazing.
Mhm,
And so, one of my little side projects, which I would like to bring into the Paratalk, is listener stories and listener experiences, where you don't have to say to the listener, "Oh, you need to come on and tell me your story." All you need to do is write it, send it in an email, and I'll do the rest. And I'll make an episode about it, or I'll make an episode of 2 or 3 listener experiences because that's where the real good stuff is, don't you find?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah. Like, you know, and I, I guess I'll kind of share this with you. You know, and it's kind of the reason why I led this down this way. Yeah, personal experiences that come to you from people who, um, you know, write you an email, phone call, a friend of a friend, or whatever. You gotta listen to this story. This story is just absolutely crazy. And this one came across. Oh, this must have been probably a good 10 years ago now. And a friend of mine who I was investigating with had a friend who was living in the middle of nowhere, just bought a house, and he had a huge backyard. I don't know, I can't remember the acreage, but you know, it backed up onto a forest. He had no fencing, just an open field, and then forest in the back. So he decided to um, buy some deer cams, set them up. He wanted to see what kind of animals were in the area, and so on and so on. And anyways, he was, these went live. He after a while collecting the SD cards. He would set the SD cards down for a while. He just, I don't have time to review them right now or whatever. And finally, he started reviewing. He had some time. He started reviewing his SD cards, and a series of shots from one of the cameras that faced the back of his yard, towards the forest. And there was a series of 4 photos, and he was baffled. And this guy knew nothing about the paranormal. He wasn't a believer in the paranormal or anything like that. But he's just like, this is just weird. I can't make heads or tails of this. The first photo is just like a bright sunny day, November, cold. I think it was like 9 degrees Celsius. The birds, you can see the birds in the field, just tending to themselves. And then, okay, the series of shots are within 4 seconds, right? Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom, boom. And each one of the frames, the temperature rose a degree. And then from that normal first photo, the second photo, there was this anomaly at the top of the framing. Just really weird. You could see the forest, you see the birds, but there's this strange anomaly, sort of disturbance in the camera's inner workings or whatever. And then the third photo is a strange object in the very far, right in front of the forest. And he's like, what the hell is that? I'll show you the photos here in a sec. And then in the fourth photo, gone, back to normal. So I'm going, yes, Frank, exactly. Frank knows what I'm talking about. So basically, I'm going to show you the second and the third photo, and I want your thoughts. Okay, Reeves?
Okay.
You want to talk about strangeness. Okay. And I've shown these things to so many different people. Where are we? Okay, now it won't let me share. Hold on a sec. Let me just see if. Oh, you know why? I got to bring it up again. Hold on a sec. Give me a sec here. Photos. And then, okay, so there we go. I should be able to share it now. Okay. Okay, here's the first photo. Okay, there's the first photo, or the second photo. Okay, remember I told you, the anomaly, right? The anomaly at the top. So what do you make of that? What do you make of that? So think about the first photo is totally.
It's a bleeding UFO, isn't it?
Does it look like a UFO to you? It kind of looks weird though. Eh? It just what the hell's going on here?
Well, whatever it is, it seems to be quite close to the camera, and it's overexposing the top of the image because everything is completely washed out. But you can see the trees in the upper corner.
And
So it
then
means that
you'll see
there's
the birds down there. See the birds
and
down
you
there?
can see the
Gorgeous.
bird sat there.
Yeah.
Um, it's either something incredibly close to the lens, like the
Mhm.
lens of the camera. Is it like a trail camera or a security camera?
It's a deer camera. Yeah, it's a deer
Okay,
camera. Yeah.
so it's a trail cam. So
Yep.
yeah, it's either something really close to the lens, or it's basically an anomaly with it because it captures so many frames from movement, doesn't it? There's like shoots so many frames and then it stops. Is that right? Is
Yeah.
that how this one works?
It goes with the movement. Yeah. As
Mhm.
long as the movement, and then all of a sudden it'll just stop. And again,
Um,
you look at the temperature. The temperature is 7 degrees. The first photo I don't have it on me right now was 6 degrees. And here we go. I'll go to I'll go to the third photo here. Okay, so here's the third photo. There's the third photo. And again, you
so
notice that.
what's that in the center frame?
So you notice it went up a degree. It's now 8 degrees. And again, the time is still the same date, everything, right? Let me
Yeah, but that
enlarge it.
could be if it's a sunny day, like the sun's coming up, so it's warming slowly. But what's that?
Exactly. Eh? What is that? Isn't that
Has that
isn't
been
that
highlighted at all? Has that had any highlight on it, or is that because it looks
no?
like it's something inside of a bubble?
Exactly. 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 And you see, look at you see the reflection from the sun, right?
You know,
Reflecting off this.
you could say, well, it's something coming through a portal. You know,
Yeah, look
something
at that.
as
And
crazy as that.
you got to remember this is within 4 seconds. These four shots are 4 seconds apart.
So
So
if you
how
was
could
to
it
look, what
go ahead?
what I was going to say, if you was to kind of analyze that picture,
Yeah,
firstly, the way that our minds are made up, you're gonna look at that and your brain's going to say, well, clearly that's a person stood there with his back to you, and you can see the top of his shoulders, his two arms, his two legs. He's wearing a large, long overcoat, and he's got some sort of halo around him, and he's
yeah,
obviously got a hoodie on, or he's got his hood up. But the weird thing is, it does look at the right scale for the size of the trees. It looks like a large human.
yeah,
But if it wasn't there previously or after, then and how many times? I mean, this takes pictures through movement. Did he just like run away? Is it a homeless man? Or is it somebody just walking by? But it seems to be illuminated from the background. You'd think that he would.
exactly.
You'd think that he'd be in more shadow than that,
Yeah,
because the far side of him, the shadow side of him, is also illuminated, which is
yes.
a bit weird.
It's like a protective covering.
Hmm.
You
It's a
know,
bit.
and the next photo, I wish I had the first and fourth photo to give you a just, but the fourth photo, it's back to normal. There's nothing there. You just have the feel. Just this picture without that anomaly there. And a degree it became 9 degrees. It was 9 degrees.
Oh, do you have the following picture?
I unfortunately I don't have it handy with me right now. I don't know where I've got it somewhere. I
One
don't
of
know
the
where.
interesting things is when if you see if it captures phenomena, is to don't just look at the phenomenon. Look at everything in the frame. Look at everything. Look
And
at all
it,
the trees, the grass, everything, to
yeah,
see if anything else has changed. You know,
and again here I'll go back to the other photo just to give you an idea. But there you go. So whatever that is, it's
so
is that
whatever
it?
that was, whatever that was, made the birds fly away. Okay,
Yeah.
because there's no birds in the second in the frame you
Oh,
not
they're
like to
there,
see.
right there,
Oh,
right there,
they're there, are they?
right there. But they don't
Oh,
seem
there
to
they
be
are. Okay,
bothered.
yeah.
They're there, but they don't seem to be bothered, which kind of makes you think again. You know,
So if you go back, right? If you go back, okay. Now I'm, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm just going to
absolutely.
speculate, right?
Yep.
Maybe whatever it was, okay, whatever it was, I'm just going to get all a bit wooey, okay. I'm just going to go and say this. Maybe the trail camera, caught a manifestation, a part manifestation of something, right,
Mhm.
in one frame. and then the consecutive frame was it whatever it was manifested into its normal form. So maybe
So something could have dropped from the tree, but again, you got to think split second. Um, the next framing. I mean, it
I
doesn't
just
make
feel that
sense.
that is really that
You
there
know.
is really close to the frame, and then
That,
of course
yeah,
it's further away, much further away.
yeah. I
And
mean,
the only other thing is these we're not actually seeing what we think we're seeing, or the other logical thing is it's these frames have been tampered with. You know,
and that was my first initial thought. Okay, this guy has somewhat, you know, screwed around. I'm just going to get rid of it for a sec. I'll bring it up again if somebody wants to see it. But this guy tampered with the photos. And then, okay, so I got the SD card. He gave me the SD card with the photos. I went into the photo, the metadata of the photos
right?
to see if there was anything that was shifted, changed, edited, or whatever. Nothing.
Hmm.
The metadata as is, nothing had been edited, and this guy was just like in total shock. I mean, this guy, he was actually really reluctant. We had him on the show to talk about his that experience, and he was really reluctant. He did not want to come on the show, and in fact, we had set up an investigation to go out there and investigate this phenomena. And we were set to go out there, and then all of a sudden he called it off. He did not want to have that sort of, um, you
Yeah,
know,
that kind
uh,
of publicity. Yeah.
yeah, he didn't want
Mm.
any of that. And so, anyways, but he furthered by adding to the story. He was telling me that he was working afternoon shifts, and he was at work one evening, and he got a call from his wife. His wife called, and she was hysterical, saying that there is something flying by the window, by the deck in the backyard, and literally hovering at the sliding door, as if it was like looking in the house, like this green
What?
object. It, today
Okay.
we'd say, okay, maybe that's a drone, right? But back then there weren't drones, at least not commercially,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay, what could that possibly be? And when she went to go to see what it was, it took off in the distance. And anyways, she told him to get his ass home. He drove home, and everything was okay though. But I said, did anything else happen? And was that the only time? Yeah, that was it. So when I looked into this, a little bit more, and the property that he bought. It was a fire sale property. Hey Terry, how are you? Good to see you. Um, hey Bud Files. He had purchased this from the. It was a fire sale because the property was seized, and because there was a marijuana operation there. So they were busted, and the house was put on the market. He got a good deal on it, obviously, and I guess he figured. And there was literally, he was saying, where this property was, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. He said his nearest uh, neighbor was probably about 10 kilometers down the road.
Wow.
You
That's
know, there's like literally nobody there.
quite
There's like,
isolated.
yeah. So, and he was telling me, he says, I had to get out of the city. I can't be around people. Hey, Kristen, how are you? Kristen is in chat there, paranormal girl. And, he was saying that, oh, look it, I just had to get away from people, and this is the reason why we moved here. I figured we get away from people. I'm just not a people person. I just want to, live a quiet life, and so on and so on. And I go, well, then why are you coming forward with this now? You're going to get a bit of notice when you put this out there. If you put this out there to anybody else, no, absolutely nobody. And I said, well, then why us? Why me? Why come on this show and talk about it? He was reluctant. He wouldn't come on in the first place, but then he eventually came on and talked about the scenario. And he had no idea. He didn't know what to do. Like you said, he was confused. He had no idea. Doesn't know a thing about the paranormal. Blah blah blah. I had to reach out to somebody because I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. This is just strange. This is where I live. I want to know what's going on, sort of thing. So I mean, talk about weird.
So,
Is that
anything else happened?
nothing?
in that-
Quiet,
Nothing.
quiet. He, like I
Yeah.
said, we had set up time to go in there and try to figure out what was going on. He shut it all down. He said, "No, I don't want anyone." It's like it's as if somebody got to him. It felt like
Yeah.
somebody got to him. Didn't want him to talk. I don't know. Didn't want. I don't know. It's just really weird. A complete 360.
Mind you, saying that, there's been many cases where people have had stuff happen.
Yeah.
I've had friends come up to me and they've said, "Oh, something that weird has happened. I think my bathroom's haunted or whatever." And I say, "All right, can I come round? And I'll have a chat with the missus and see, And then a few weeks later, you come back and say, and then no, I don't want to. No, don't forget about it. It's nothing. It was just it was just a cat or something,
Yeah.
And it's like you think to yourself, why suddenly do you not want to do anything? And I do think that superstition and stuff plays a big part, where you feel that if you're, some people say, there is the saying out there, and you've most probably heard this. I suppose most people in chat have heard this. Is if you've got weird stuff going on in your house, ignore it. Don't acknowledge it, because as soon as you acknowledge it, you give it the permission to be even more
Power.
disruptive.
Yeah.
And you're kind of acknowledging it's there, and you're acknowledging that you're aware of it, and you should basically ignore it and go, well, get out. You don't live here, or whatever. So I just think that our own personal demons play a part when it comes to stuff like this, and I think you have to be a little bit inquisitive. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I bought a house which was a drug house, a drug whatever, a grow house, whatever they're called, and then stuff went on, and then I got a good deal, and it's in the middle of nowhere, and then I started capturing weird stuff on my trail cam that's outside my house, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe should I sell this place or what?
Reeves, here's a question. And
So can you be a paranormal researcher
Yes.
without being inherently religious at some level for you? Yes, you can.
Yep.
I don't think the paranormal. I think with the paranormal, right? You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in whatever. What it does not necessarily God. Anything. You have to believe in yourself, really, and you have to want to know what the answers are. But you also have to be a little bit skeptical when it comes to
Have
doing
to be,
research.
yeah.
You've got to always question what you're seeing, because we are, we're human machines, right? And we're fallible. Don't trust your brain sometimes, because your brain will show you something, but it might not be what you think you're seeing. Our five senses, all everything that we're born with is, it can be tricked, and you can,
Filters.
yeah. And if I've seen stuff, right? I'll tell you a story. I tell a story quite often, but I'll tell it again.
Mhm.
I went on a trip to a very old, what I got, castle, manor house, whatever. And basically, I saw somebody that was wearing in period costume, right? An olden days costume, like 400 years ago, right? in this old building, which what they would have dressed like in that building all those years ago. And I saw them. My mates were with me. They didn't see it. It was a fleeting glance. Somebody walking through a doorway, the other side of a hall, big banquet hall. And I said to my mate, "Did you see that?" And they're like, "No, I didn't see nothing." Right. So at the end, I said to the guide bloke who was giving us all this tour, have you got people here like doing like medieval cosplay, in costume?" And they're like, "No, you're the only ones here with me in this area." And I'm thinking to myself, well, what did I see then? Did I just see a glimpse of the past? Is there like a ghost that was pranking us or something? Or did somebody dress up and did a something, oh, I'll get these kids, watch this. So I'm thinking to myself, you know, maybe I imagined it. Maybe sometimes we see stuff that we see it and no one else sees it because we want to see it. So I don't think you have to have a religious tilt on what you're doing to do investigating. You just have to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. You know, I think when you bring religion into it, you bring in more questions because
True.
we don't know everything about religion. We don't. I mean, there's lots of religions out there, and everybody practices different things. But I think that when you come into this kind of environment, you need to just leave that at the door. And not in a bad way, because obviously, some people say you should use religion to protect yourself. I don't know. I mean, everyone's got their
From
own way of doing stuff.
yeah, I find that if you look at this from a religious standpoint, you're trapped in that box, and that's what I was saying. You really need to think outside the box, and in many ways, a lot of people who research and investigate the paranormal are stuck with those traditional religious views on what the paranormal is about. We're dealing with, ghosts and demons and the afterlife and so on and so on. But what if that's all a big trick? I mean, we really need to think all sorts of theories that are out there and bring them in and try to sort of, I mean, these are the pieces of the puzzle that we're trying to sort of to solve. And I mean, you said it best there earlier. We haven't got anywhere closer because for the most part, we have pretty much a majority of people have thought on the same wavelength for years, for hundreds of years.
I
And
mean, yeah, we argue with one another. We're always arguing with one another. If somebody comes up with an idea and says, "Oh, maybe this," and somebody will come back and go, "No, that's a load of old chuff, mate. You're talking a lot of old nonsense." So and then a flame war or an argument will pursue, and you don't gain any ground. Rather than saying, "Well, okay, I don't agree with what you're saying, but let's try your theory. Let's just try it and see if it works. And if it worked, great. We'll chalk it up to something that works." And when we go back to sort of a belief system, let's just say a belief system. You look at exorcists, right? And they'll get a call to go to a place because I don't know, little Jimmy has apparently got a demon in him or whatever. And the first things they'll ask: are you taking any medicine, or is there any history of mental illness in your family? That's the first thing they're going to ask before they start to do anything. They're going to find out the basics and find out if there's something else that could be causing what you're apparently suffering from. And that's not to say that there are cases out there that aren't cases, and there are cases out there where people have had some weird stuff happen. I mean, the stories. I mean, as you well know, I used to be friendly with the late great Lou Gentili.
Lou Gentili, yeah.
No, sadly, once again, no longer with us. But some of the stories he would tell me about some of the. I mean, he used to go with an exorcist to perform these ceremonies of people who apparently were possessed or had stuff going on in their lives, not necessarily to the level of the exorcist, but they just were plagued with bad luck, and they believed that it was some sort of religious curse or something was plaguing them, it was causing them bad luck and misfortune and stuff. So they would go and get cleansed and have a blessing and all this stuff. And then sometimes I told this story before that Lou, with this priest that he used to go with, the priest used to go with him because the priest was quite aged, and he was like, just come along, a bit of backup, just in case things get out of hand. And he went to one place, and this guy would said, I've got something going on in my life. They checked all the things about mental illness and medicine. He was clear on all that, and when they started doing the reciting all the scriptures and stuff, things started happening, and the guy was just calmly sat on the seat. He wasn't going all crazy or anything, and he didn't understand what was all this poltergeist phenomenon was going on. Things were moving, and the chair was shaking, and furniture was moving. And he said, and Lou said he was shitting himself because he didn't know what was going on. He was thinking, "Is this guy pranking us?" But no. But obviously, things do happen, and I do think that when we look at stuff like that, you've got to think of the human mind, right?
Yeah.
For example, the poltergeist phenomenon. We're getting a little bit closer now to realizing that possibly that a lot of the poltergeist phenomenon is ourselves.
Mhm.
With younger people, you're
Angst.
approaching adolescence, and things are changing, and you got all this crazy stuff going on. Well, the way I look at that is, if that's the case, right, when you get to an age, not to say that poltergeist phenomenon doesn't happen to people who are older, because it does, but not so much, mainly younger people. So if you're a young person, right, and you suddenly start experiencing pots and pans flying around, things rapping and knocks and stuff, and apparently their mind is manifesting that through their subconscious, through their pent up, stress and angst or whatever. Okay, that's pretty amazing. That's kind of superhero level of mind over matter. That is. Now imagine if the military was able to bottle that and use it on the enemy, where you could have soldiers just thinking, I don't want you to be alive anymore. Drop dead.
Who's to say they haven't, Reeves?
Well, there you go.
Actually, leads into what John Smith was asking. Science doesn't recognize the paranormal. It does. I mean, that's why it's called the paranormal. It's outside the normal. It's outside explanation. Our current understanding through scientific research, it's knowledge. I mean, it's not to say that parts and pieces of it may be explained later on as we go on, but I mean, in this current, science is the paranormal is like an ever expanding sort of thing. It's like when you sort of explain something else sort of comes, more questions are asked. But I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
The thing with the science and the paranormal, okay, if you go to sort of a general science in general term, most scientists, when you start to talk about things that are not in the norms of our reality, and you start to say, this happened, you usually get a funny look. You'll usually get that look
of course.
Like, you're a bit mad, mate. Things that can't happen, because the way they think is different, right? They got a certain way of thinking. But if you into something like parapsychology, okay, it's still in the realms of looking at stuff. I mean, I had O'Keefe, what was his name? Most Haunted. He was on Most Haunted.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he's a parapsychologist, but he's very he's into the paranormal. He's doing a lot of work now with Danny Robbins and the Uncanny podcast, but because they do a lot of live shows. But the thing is that he looks at the paranormal as, he's a little bit skeptical when it comes to stuff, and he almost wants to find a logical answer. And I think that's a good way. Science is good for that, because it forces you to look at a logical explanation.
You have to.
Sometimes there isn't a logical explanation.
Exactly.
And that's when we get into the realms of the supernatural, the paranormal, where it's beyond normal. It's paranormal. So yeah, I think that there are aspects of science that do recognize the paranormal as something a bit weird. But I think in general, the larger size of the science doesn't really. It just looks at people that are a bit mental.
Well, people often ask me, do you look for ghosts? And I say, no. I mean, that's not why I investigate the paranormal. If you look at the paranormal, it's not about looking for ghosts. It's looking to explain the unexplainable. So you go in, you explain things, rationalize things that are explainable, and 99% of that is explainable. When you go into these scenarios, most of the time you can explain what's going on, through science or just plain, knowledge, basic knowledge, you know. But some people, it's like, no, why are you applying that? What you don't need to apply it. It's paranormal. No, you need to. People are never going to look at you seriously when you simply discount the fact that why you're going in and you're investigating a paranormal sort of aspect, and simply, you don't try to explain, like, people bring in an EMF detector and use it. Well, I got a ghost detector. No, that's not a ghost detector. You use it to identify certain readings in the environment. That's all. That's all it is. But people have taken a lot of this technology that's not even made to look for ghosts or unusual paranormal, I don't know, whatever, and they totally misuse it. But it's not to say that 1%. There's always that 1% of when you go in and you find something, and again, it's very rare. And when it does happen, then you go, okay, I need to know more about that. That is what I'm looking for. That is what I want to know more about. And in many cases, it's not about going in there once. It's about going in there several times, maybe weeks, months, years, before you fully understand what that 1% is all about.
Well,
Right?
I think some tools out there are quite useful.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, but there are some tools that are, in the early days, they were a bit hit and miss, and it was a bit, you weren't sure what you were getting. Were you picking up like a telephone signal or or whatever? They've got a little bit better, and obviously, some of the more high end stuff is quite expensive, but a lot of it's custom made, and people are always improving and stuff. But I think the best, when you go out and do of an investigation, the your best sort of tool is yourself, but in a sense of not not just expecting anything to happen and not discounting anything, but just a notepad, and write everything down or record it as it happens, and then you've got something you can go back to afterwards and review, what how whatever happened, whatever that might be. But I think that if you rely on technology a little bit too much, although I said earlier, AI is great, and it is great for getting stuff done, you always have to have that human element, logical human element. Don't just believe anything, and just be a little bit logical about what you're experiencing, because at the end of the day, as I say, you can experience something, and it might actually not be what you think it is.
You've got a part 2 to a question from John. Here you
go.
Reeves, be clear when separating rational human behavior, religious understandings, and science. You have to nail your colors to match for credibility respectfully, mate.
Yeah. No, I get it. I understand where he's coming from. I know what he means, but the fact is that I think it's such a huge, the paranormal is such a huge net that you kind of got to come at it from all aspects, and you have to kind of, I'm not saying pick and choose, but you have to sort of look at things and see what works and what doesn't. Because if you're just going to go one way, you might miss stuff that's that is like the golden moment. Because let's be honest, you can go to somewhere and people say, oh, there's just crazy stuff going on. It's just madness, and you could go there and you experience absolutely nothing. But you can go another time, and you could see something amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always sort of look at it from multiple angles, because who knows? One day you might be lucky enough. You might see that apparition. Who knows?
I mean, I've been you know, researching and investigating the paranormal, I've been to, I don't know how many cases, all sorts of cases, and I could probably come up with maybe a handful of experiences within all those cases that I would probably consider to be authentically, you know, outside our current understanding. Here's another question. Do you think AI will be a conduit for ghosts, etc., to make contact with us?
Well, I thought about this. I thought about EVP. I did a lot of EVP 20 years ago. I was really, really into it. That was kind of my first sort of step into the toying with the paranormal. And yeah, I did get some feedback and I did get some captures, and it kind of scared me. And for 3 months after that, I didn't do anything with the paranormal because I thought, oh, this actually kind of works. So when we look at AI and we look at using it to sort of do research, I think to myself, is there a possibility that we could use AI to maybe do something with, sort of supercharge EVP to capture EVP in some way? But the problem is, would we end up talking just to AI? Is it just going to be that giving us what we want to hear? This is the problem when you if you give something like a supercomputer the free reign to do what it wants to do. Is it just going to go, well, we're just going to give you what you want, we're just going to make you believe this, because then that way we can control you, and I don't know. I mean, it would be good to see computers in that sense, because it's just purely, I'm just talking from purely speculation, because we don't know where it's going to go. AI might just end up just writing applications for people. I don't know, but I do think it's going to get integrated quite quickly into the way that we live, and pretty much basic AI now is all in anything anyway. So the technology is growing so quickly, and it's kind of a little bit frightening the way it is growing and the way it's been integrated, that I can see it popping up more and more in ghost hunting. But as you say, the as Ryan said, the problem is, will we end up with it just basically pretending to be ghosts, which is what we don't want?
Yeah. Thanks for the question, John. Does Steve ever get a beer? Never. What's a beer?
That's the thing. See, that's the thing. Would we be talking to ourselves or talking to a computer program? I don't.
Yeah.
I think that it's exciting, that we've got new technology coming, but it's also a little bit scary that if we lose control of it, then it kind of puts us back to sort of step one.
I have a capture. It was on video, probably in around 2009, or sorry, 2009, and ran it through an AI program to clean it up, to see what the AI would bring. And I don't know, it kind of did a good job, but it didn't. I think what it was the language that was being spoken.
Yeah.
And it was having a hard time with the language.
Yeah.
Now we kind of think it's French. Now we kind
of. I just want to interject there, because
Yep.
the problem with any speech cleaning up that you use AI for, and I've found this problem as well, is if you have an accent, or if you have a certain way that you say certain words, or if you've got any even a minor speech impediment, the AI at the moment is at a point where it finds it difficult, so it kind of chooses what it thinks it hears, and it gives you a word. I used an AI algorithm to clean up some audio from a podcast, just for speed, really. And I left the intro music at the beginning. So I should have just put up the spoken word. So I uploaded it all and left it to do its thing. And then I downloaded it after it had finished. the spoken audio came out really well. It cleaned it up really well. But what was scary was the intro music. It had heard the intro music and thought that that was spoken word. So it tried to put language to it. So what I had at the beginning was some sort of demonic language. It was trying to make it was words, but they were all mixed together and all at different frequencies and stuff. And it was I deleted it. It was kind of creepy. I just it's just AI trying to think, trying to put words to music, because obviously it
Mm.
didn't know what it's not designed to do that. But it was quite scary because it was like listening to some from The Exorcist, really very bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a whole new frontier that it's frightening, exciting, but I don't know what more of. I think probably frightening at the aspect and the potential. It has the potential for obviously eradicating us. It really does. I mean, given the right circumstances, we we're just a stepping stone.
Yeah,
We really are, and that's the scary part. Reeves, 2 hours.
I know
Gone,
it's flown by. It's
gone,
flown by.
gone.
I've waffled my backside off for 2 hours, and it's still
that's
not made any
that's good.
sense.
No, it's good. I love it, and that's why we love having you on, Reeves. And I would really love to have you on, and maybe I would love to do a round table with you and some others and
That would
so
be
on and
good.
so on and sort of explore this stuff in greater and get different perspectives. I think it's imperative that we do stuff like this to sort of share it and put forward what
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole
yeah,
point of me wanting to do something like this, is because getting more people on and getting more
yeah.
feedback from individuals is that that's the whole. That's where you get your answers. That's where you get new ideas from. Bringing in different people and I'm very open minded to stuff like that, because I don't think that if you fix to doing one thing and believe in one thing, then you're not really going to, you might make progress in that one area, but it's always great to have lots of different people and saying, oh, try this, try that, or what about this, or this is my opinion. I think that's great. I always find that those kind of conversations are the most dynamic and also the most productive.
Get all your info out there. I mean, we do have the links and everything, but I mean,
Well, yeah, the website.
when we play the audio, let people know where to find you.
Well, you can find me at paratalkpodcast.com. That's the main website. If you want to send me any information, the best way to do it is paratalkpodcast@gmail.com. That comes through to me. And if you've got any stories or feedback or something you think that I should talk about on an episode, I'm all open to, I'm all ears, basically. And basically, you can find everything really on either the YouTube or on the main website. Yeah.
And folks, yeah, do go over to Paratalk's YouTube as well. Um, subscribe, and subscribe us here.
Yes. Like and
Leave
subscribe.
your leave your comments, folks. Leave your comments if you have any questions, something that a story, whatever. Let us know. Leave them in the comments. Um, that this is it for season 16.
Oh, yeah.
We will be back with season 17 in September. We've got guests lined up. I don't want to give off too much right now, but throughout the summer we will let you guys all know what's going on in the new season, and I'm sure Reeves will be back. I'm sure we'll have Reeves back. We gotta have Reeves back. Come
Oh, yeah.
on. It's like an ongoing
Yeah.
series, man. I mean, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can't do it in one session. I mean, 2 hours
No,
isn't enough time, Reeves.
no, no. You can go. I mean, I can understand now why Gareth would go for 4 or 5 hours, because it's just like the time just whizzes by, and you get into conversations, and you get some good, you get some good, like the chat here is like, because people have been posting some really interesting stuff,
Yeah, some
and
great
you
questions.
start looking at chat and you think, oh, I got to answer that. I got to answer that. And it's it's thanks to everyone who came, and thanks for all of your feedback. It's all very enlightening, and also makes for interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we love doing the live streams, outside the scheduled shows, because we go for hours. We go for hours. It's too bad we have only a 2-hour segment on New Visions, but I mean, yeah, that's why we love doing the live streams here to sort of talk about it. And I think doing a round table, I think we'll do the live stream aspect so we can go longer and talk a little bit more, because there's so much to talk about. And again, when you just let it flow, you never know where it's going to go.
Hmm.
You never do.
Oh yeah.
You never do. So, but Reeves, it's been great. Really appreciate you coming on and starting the season and ending the season. We look forward to having you back on again. Of course, my friend. Always, always, always a pleasure. Always an honor. And keep doing what you're doing with ParaTalk. You're doing a wonderful job. Doing a great job.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoy it. Really enjoy it, guys. Get over there, subscribe, and just listen. Give Reeves some input. Give him some stories. Let Reeves run wild.
You got my
There
work
you go.
out. I'm gonna be. That's what I'm gonna be
They're
doing.
gonna flood you over there now. All right, my friend. Everybody, take care. Thank you. There concludes season 16. We will be back in September with all new guests. So take care, everyone. Have a good summer, and of course, you'll see us here with live streams, I'm sure, throughout the summer, and content. The Dark Woodlot is going to drop in probably 3 weeks. The first episode. Looking forward to that too. So, guys, take care. All the best. Adios.